I was like the entrepreneur type was like, oh, I gotta have this like one in a billion idea and then like it'll take off. And a lot of people, I feel like even successful entrepreneurs, some of them and business people, like they still think that way. And in school, like we had venture capitalists coming in and they were like, the idea doesn't fucking matter. They're like, it's the team. They're like, get over this idea thing. Someone else has thought of it. Like someone would
Yeah.
come up with this idea and be like, I was the first person. Like, nope, I've heard of that one before. There's like
Yeah.
three other people in Palo Alto working on it right now.
Welcome to the On Growth Podcast. I'm Josh Ledgard. Our guest today, Matt Haugen, shares his journey of turning his passion for racing and drifting into a growing and successful business. He highlights how he used a KickoffLabs campaign and other marketing tools to grow his email list by 14,000 leads in just 1 month. Enjoy the show and make sure to give that subscribe button a whirl in your podcast platform of choice.
All right. We are live in the On Growth podcast. And today I'm talking with Matt Haugen. And he's from Haugen Racing. I assume you are the owner, correct?
Yep.
Cool. People can't tell from the background. There is a couple of really cool pictures of cars behind Matt here today. He has a pretty cool business. So I'd love if you just kind of start and tell us a bit about like your business.
Yeah, so Haugen Racing is obviously my last name. It's a very creative name for the business. It's one of those things where it started as like a side project. I was always, I won't drag on too long, but I was always focused on building a business and then using that to like fund my hobby rather than trying to make my hobby my business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to ASU for my undergrad in entrepreneurship, and then I went to the University of Southern California and got my master's of science in entrepreneurship and innovation. And throughout that whole journey, I had probably like 7 different startups. And it was always about, I like got more and more addicted to drifting and cars kind of as time went throughout. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even at like 3 years old, I was obsessed with cars and into them, and that obsession just grew. And so then, like, by the time it was grad school, it was like, all right, I had Haugen Racing, and I was like, I'm gonna have this business, and then I'm gonna be able to fund my racing and drifting with this other business that's outside of automotive.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, that last business failed, and it was like I was living at home. I moved back home with my parents, and I was like, well, and it was right when COVID started, and so I was like, well, what do we do now? And I had Haugen Racing going. I was kind of doing the 2 businesses at the same time, and I decided
Tell us like just stop you there. So tell people
yeah.
what the business of Haugen Racing is.
Yeah, sorry, I was getting there. My bad. Yeah, so Haugen Racing, it started out with really just like my journey in racing, and now what it really is I'm a professional drift driver. So if you've ever seen Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift,
Yep.
where they go sideways around the corners, we have competitions for that, and there's actually a professional drifting series. Now, the issue is it's not like NASCAR or Formula One where there's millions of dollars in it for the drivers.
Yeah.
There's not much prize money at all. So if you want to be successful in drifting, you got to find some other sources of income. And so for me, mine is the YouTube channel is my main source besides sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
So we upload 5 videos a week, all around cars and drifting. So I'll do like vlog type videos, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, where I'm just showing kind of behind the scenes. I build a lot of cars that we drift with, so we'll show the builds, and then I do a lot of reaction videos, as well as video games. So it's really the driving in real life, the YouTube channel, merchandise is another one. So I got one of our t-shirts on right now, but we do t-shirts, stickers, accessories for you and your car.
Cool.
So
you
pretty much
so when you said earlier like it had these 5 other businesses, or 7 businesses you said you'd started?
I can't keep track. Yeah.
Keep track. When you said earlier 7 businesses and you're like, I'm gonna get one of these going so I can like fund my hobby. So Haugen Racing was your hobby, right?
Yep. Yeah, so I was, diving in more into like trying out racing just for fun, and then I kind of got into drifting. Um, and since like 16 years old, I've been building cars for the SEMA show, which is like it's like the biggest convention for automotive, for like
Mm-hmm.
aftermarket and racing and also OEM stuff. So
Yep.
yeah, but it was always like, let's do, like I had a golf invention. I'm not even really into that golf, but I was like, let's try to build this up, and then I can use, my profits to fund my racing. And then
Yep.
finally I was just gave in and I was like, all right, let's just make a business out of racing.
What was your golf invention?
So it's called 20-7. There's like, are you a golfer?
I've golfed like a couple times a year, but I'm not a
Okay.
huge like golf person.
It's like a weird rule. That's probably why it didn't take off, and only like really competitive or like strict golfers and professionals know it. But like rule 20-7 is um, basically, if your ball is in the way of someone else's when you're
Yep.
putting, you got to mark it and move it.
Mhm.
If you don't put your ball right in the same exact spot as where it was, it's a 2-stroke penalty. And so normally you'll never get, like, no one's ever going to call you on that in just like fun games.
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to get back in a similar spot. But in pro, if they don't put it in that exact same spot, they get a 2-stroke penalty. So I had a golf ball marker that you could essentially flip, and it had an arrow on it, and it said move. Yep. And so then you would basically lay your club down next to the marker, take the marker, put it on the other end of your club, and flip it over. And so then when you came back, you'd lay your club down and put the marker or put the ball on the other end of the club, and it was in the exact same spot every time. So it was kind of gimmicky, but it was, I don't know.
I can see why, because you needed like a really specific audience. So it's hard to like reach just that very specific audience of the competitive golfers, and they had to think it was like better than the alternative, right? Like,
yeah,
so.
and no one's calling them on it really. And I was like 20 when I was doing this, or 19. It was just like, I was just kind of trying stuff and learning about business and entrepreneurship.
What got you into wanting to do your own business? So it sounds like you kind of like went to school and you're like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Like some people kind of fall into it over time. Some people just know that that's what they want to do. And you sound like the person just kind of knew this is what you wanted to do.
I don't know exactly. I mean, a lot of stuff's environmental, right? So my dad was not necessarily an entrepreneur, but he had a one successful small business, or even medium-sized business. So when I grew up, I would, visit him in the office, and he was like the boss, right? Like he was the leader. It was his business. And so that was the environmental thing, I think, that I kind of saw. But even so, like, that doesn't necessarily mean I would see my life going that way. But I remember where my dad would tell me when I was just really little, I was like, someday I'm going to have my own business, Dad. And I was like, and you can be up front, and when people come asking for Matt, you can be like, let me go see if he can talk to you. He's in the back. Like, like I don't know. It was in my mind that I was going to do that. So.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. All right. So let's keep going now to let's say you eventually found KickoffLabs to run a contest. And so what was going on? Like what motivated you to say, hey, I'm going to try running a contest? Like what was your motivation for wanting to do that?
So I've done some giveaways before. Not in this way. I'm on the side. One of my other failed startups was like streetwear and high fashion. And I've always just been into fashion forever, like as long as I've been into cars. And so I've seen people do these like shoe giveaways, which I'm sure you guys are very familiar with. For your listeners, it's like the Yeezys and the different Adidas and Nikes and Jordans when they come out. They'll do raffles basically to be able to purchase the pairs because they're so limited. Mm-hmm. And then it also gets rid of robots just buying them all. And so I've known about those, and I've entered those a ton, and I know them, at least from the customer side, I know them really well, how they operate. It's like you sign up with their email, you get a certain amount of entries. Mm-hmm. You follow their social media, you get a certain amount, you refer a friend, blah, blah, blah. And then you get entered to get a chance to buy the shoes. And so I've always been interested in other industries and like taking those things into whatever business I'm working on. Mm-hmm. And so I did a steering wheel giveaway like a couple of years ago, and I just did it on social media. It was one of those ones where you like the post, share the post, follow the steering wheel manufacturer, and you get entered to win. So mm-hmm. I've done a couple of things like that. But when I hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, I wanted to do something to further the growth, celebrate it, and then also try to give back to my subscribers. And so I was like, I want to give away a drift sim, which is just a racing simulator for drifting. And you know, a lot of people were like, well, why don't you just do it? I was kind of asking people how they'd like it to be done, because I'm always looking for customer feedback.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the best way to make a decision, is just let your
Yep.
customers tell you, you know? And a lot of them are saying, well, why don't we, you know, every merch, every dollar gets you an entry. And I was like, you know, I know that's done a lot. I see a lot of people do that, but there's a lot of kids out there that follow me and subscribe to the YouTube that, I mean, they don't even have like access to a credit card, or if they are old enough, they don't really have any money. Like they're living like paycheck to paycheck. So they're not even going to spend $1 to enter, most likely. The other thing I was like, I remember the shoe giveaways. I was like, look at all the emails they're capturing, and the social media followers, and the YouTube subscriptions, all that stuff. And so I was like, I'd rather go this route, which is a little bit more risky, but try to build a solid email list off of this, and also start intertwining all the networks. So the people that subscribe to me on YouTube, they probably haven't checked me out on Instagram yet.
Yep.
And so that's kind of how I went down this road. And
so kind of your seed audience going in, I mean, that's impressive to get to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. So at the time you hit that, how large was your email list at that point?
6,000.
About 6,000?
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like you'd done too terribly much to promote the email list, other than like what was going on the store.
No, it's just like I do when the first time you go to my website, or whenever you like delete your cookies, it'll pop back up.
Yep.
And it'll say, you know, sign up for our email list and get 10% off your first order. Just simple stuff like that to build it.
So I'm curious, because I know somebody will ask the question, how do you feel like you got to 100,000 people on YouTube? How did you grow that list to
science.
as large as it was? Science.
Seriously. I said that jokingly, but honestly, it's I started out doing what I wanted to do on YouTube. That didn't work, and I don't think it does really work. And then I started paying attention to what is working and trying to do it better. Well, I think I do it better.
Yeah. So so when you say, can you go into a little bit more detail there? Like what was working, and like how do you think you did it better?
So you look at, like, I wanted to first just do like behind the scenes like videos of like events and stuff, and that does work for some people. But I started noticing, for example, I saw someone do some how to drift videos. So they were teaching people how to drift, and the production wasn't that great. It was from a professional driver, a better driver than I was at that point, for sure. But that was all he had. He had that he was a great professional driver, but the video was crap. The title wasn't good. The thumbnail wasn't good. There was no SEO. The description was terrible, all that stuff. And so I was like, I can do all this stuff better, because I've researched and I've looked at the guys that are making videos work, and I'm looking at the SEO that they're using, the way they're titling and thumbnailing videos. And so then I put all that stuff onto a well-produced how to drift video, and it worked. That was like our first bigger video. That's not like viral, but it was like 500,000 views or something. And so I just continually do that. I keep spreading out. So I went how to drifts, then I did video games, then I did sim drifting. These are all different sectors that people build entire YouTube channels off of. But I'm trying to do like 4 or 5 of them, basically.
You're trying to entry like your videos, you'd say, are probably like the 100 level like videos. So you might have somebody who like does like really super in depth in some of these things, but you're like, let's hit the 80% case of like, how do you drift? Answering these basic questions, right?
When it's things like, I look at the analytics. I look at them more than I should on YouTube, but there's so much you can learn from them. YouTubes are honestly awesome, way better in my opinion than like Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. I think you can learn a lot more from YouTube's, but you look at a couple of things. You look at your click-through rate and your watch time. Click-through rate tells you they showed someone the video, you got the impression, did they click it and watch it, right? If your click-through rates, there's averages, and if your click-through rate's low, it's very simple. Either your thumbnail or title or both sucked. And so
Yeah.
then if it didn't work, try a different title with the same style thumbnail. Try the same title but a different thumbnail, right? And as you do that, you start learning kind of what
Are
works.
you re-uploading the videos in each of these cases, or are you just like
No,
modifying the properties of the videos and just
I'll
trying
have to make a new version of that video. You never want to delete a video and re-upload it. So it's like I made how to drift a car in 10 minutes. And let's say I made how to drift a car in 10 minutes. It didn't work. I'm going to do how to drift a car in 5 minutes with a different thumbnail. It's basically the same video, but we refilmed everything. Like it's a completely new video, but the same concept, just with a slightly different adjustments.
So you're like leaving the other content up there, but you're just like constantly refining and saying like, let's just work until we optimize that click-through rate and watch time of the video.
Yeah.
As you said, science.
Yeah.
No, that's a perfect explanation. So you would just do this over and over again for different like categories of videos that you'd find that seemed like there was an opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. And then again, it's like paying attention to what people are watching and what they're asking for and what they like. I read every single one of my comments, and I'm always asking, I'm like, what did you guys like about this video? What didn't you like? What could we do better? And I get feedback on it. And it's amazing, the bigger you get and the more comments you get, you know, the more data you're getting. And so it just like, it gets better and better. Now I'll even ask, I'll say, hey, what should I react to next? And I'll get, you know, 30 or 40 comments saying this, and this. And so then if I see 5 comments saying the same thing, you know, maybe that's worth making a video on, right? And it seems to work. So I wanted to make it sound really smart by saying science. It's not that complicated, but it's just paying attention, I think.
No, it's paying attention to what works and what people react to. I mean, we did the same thing with KickoffLabs. Like when we started, like we just started paying attention to what customers were like using the tool for, and like talking to them and being like, oh, you know, nobody's using these 2 things. We probably don't even need them, but like everybody's using these 4 features. So like, let's totally like go deeper on those features. And like following a customer, especially like following like, you know, passionate and paying customers has never really steered us wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it's
now
hard
let's get
when you only have a few, right? That's the tricky part, I think. When you only have like a couple, but the more mass you get, I think it starts to.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's really hard like in the beginning. So in the beginning, I'd say we did a lot more like qualitative interviews. Like we just like anybody who used the product, I want to actually talk about them and kind of make the decision for myself. Is this the person we want to follow or not the person we want to follow? Before we had enough data to say like, you know, people going through the system. Anyway, so let's go back to now we're at the point you've got 6K email subscribers, 100K people on YouTube, and to celebrate, you want to do a giveaway. So you've got this really cool drifting sim, and you've seen these other contests, and you want to do something similar. How did you find KickoffLabs?
Google.
What were you? Just for my own use, what were you Googling for?
I don't want to tell you the wrong things because I know it's important. I believe I tried looking, but everybody hides it pretty well. But I tried looking at some of like the shoe contests and stuff and see who they were using. And then I started looking up like viral giveaways, referral giveaways. I think I just searched shoe giveaways as well, like giveaway websites, or like what was the other term I used? I should take a screenshot. That would have been valuable for you. But
fine.
And then I got like a couple that I was like, these guys look legit. They have good testimonials and business, like big businesses that work with them. And then I sorted it by features. And I believe, I can't remember exactly what feature it was, but you guys were the only ones that really had it. And maybe at a decent price. There might have been one other person, but they're really expensive. But I just kind of sorted through that. I liked your guys's like the UI, and then also the testimonials you had, and then the features as well. I will say I was kind of bummed that, you can cut this out if you want, but I was kind of bummed that there wasn't integration with Squarespace and Shopify only. But your team was amazing on trying to make it work with my Squarespace store. We were back and forth for like a couple weeks. So that was good. I mean, that's like, I would definitely recommend you guys over and over again just because of that. It's like I was trying to force something that you guys didn't have set up yet,
Yeah.
but you guys did your best to make it work.
No, it was one of the reasons I was interested in talking to you, because I was going through some of the threads and support with people that we're going to interview, and we are absolutely investing in like more integrations with store platforms, and so like that's one of our big pushes for this year is like how can we integrate easy and even make it simpler even with Shopify or with the store, so it's just like one click and you get the contest running on your site.
Yeah, because that was huge for me, because I wanted to, basically the way I did it is I wanted to start out where it was completely free, and it stayed free forever, but like the only option was free options. So it was email, subscribe to YouTube, like on Facebook. You could view, I think you could only view a post on Instagram and TikTok. Correct me if I'm wrong. You can't actually like, they don't allow you to, you don't have the integration to like say they followed and get the result. Yep. But you can just put whatever you want for the text, right? So I put follow. I'm sure there's some people that are smart enough, they just click the link, but I also captured some other people that went and actually followed. So, and they unfollow some later on, but it worked, you know? And once I was like a week or two in, I had maybe, I don't know, I don't remember how many, a lot of entries, like half or something of like my overall. Then I was like, I want to introduce buying merch for extra entries. And so a lot of people did take advantage of that. But the coolest thing is, you know, the highest entered person didn't win, but the highest entered person never bought any merch. They just went like to town on getting referrals, and they had like 700 entries from referrals. And he had like a small YouTube channel and was putting it like in all his videos, all over his social media. So, you know, I think doing it that way, where with the referral thing and the buying merch, can kind of make it fair. It's like if you want to put the work in, you can still get a buttload of entries, or you can buy your way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's definitely part of our vision for like keeping people engaged, and that's a fairly common thing that people tell us is like, hey, you found out this person like had like most of the referrals, and like in some cases people tell us we didn't even know the person had this like niche YouTube channel about this thing. Did you know that person beforehand?
Nope.
No. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Did you reach out to him or do anything for him after the contest, since he was plastering it all over?
Yeah, I did. So I was like, I had COVID, and then everyone was bugging me because I said it was ending, and I was like, guys, like I'm trying. I was like, all right, we're gonna do the giveaway. So I did it live on Instagram, and then the guy that had the buttload of referrals, he like hit me up right away and was like, dude, like, he's like, I'm bummed. I like promoted it so much, and I was like, all right. I was like, I'll give you like a consolation prize. So I gave him the same as third place.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
It's worth having a relationship with those people, right? Because like now, if you do something else in the future, you know, like he might still like he'll do this, could do something similar for you.
Yeah.
Cool. So I mean, when I looked at I was going through the contests, and you had, I mean, it was pretty simple. I mean, you just basically like, it looks like you just took one of our templates and kind of just modified it with your images. So like, I mean, you've got, you know, basically, and I'll post the images so people can see with the post in the show notes. But you feature in the top of the page, the big giveaway, the drift sim, and then you've got the countdown, and then you've got just a really simple first name, email address to enter, their current number of entries, and it looks like you did, as you said, like purchase merch, like get friends to sign up for extra points, follow, subscribe on YouTube, follow Instagram, follow TikTok, like us on Facebook, and you were just tracking people that way, and at the end results, if you don't mind me, do you mind me sharing your numbers here?
No, of course not. Yeah.
Well, it looks like you captured about 14,500 leads captured in the contest. How many of those were email addresses you think you didn't have previously in your email list?
Like most of them. I don't think there wasn't like a lot of crossover, because my email list is now, and I'm probably messing up the numbers a little bit, but I think my email list is now 22,000.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot of crossover. And I use MailChimp, so it like,
Yep.
make sure it's not doubling up on emails and stuff. Yeah, so I have well, some have unsubscribed and shit like that, but 23,370 contacts. And going in, it was like 6 or 7,000.
Yep.
So
did you notice an increase in like followers on the social channels as well, since you were primarily doing that outside of the purchases?
yeah, there's a big jump in YouTube subscribers. I think a lot of the people that entered the giveaway and were watching the videos, I mean, like watch time from viewers is always really low. Like you're getting a lot more. It's like any social media. They don't all subscribe, right? But a lot of people finally committed to subscribing or realized they hadn't been subscribed. So that was where a lot of the growth was.
Yeah.
Instagram was okay, and TikTok got a little bit. Facebook got a decent jump actually. Now that I think about it. But I think the YouTube was cool. Because it made people realize, oh, I'm not subscribed, and I watch this guy's videos. So
what other things did you do personally to promote the contest?
I just posted it on social media and YouTube. I didn't do any paid advertising or marketing.
How long did you run it for?
A month.
A month. And then for the YouTube, because you said you do 5 videos a week, were you mentioning it during those like videos that were being posted in those 4 weeks?
Yeah, pretty much every one of them. Especially heavier on the videos relevant, like really relevant to the sim giveaway, like the sim drifting videos. I was doing 2 of those a week, and so in that, the little like kind of shout out was a little bit longer, and then in the reaction videos and other types, I would just make sure I quicked it at the start. Like, guys, don't forget, we just hit 100K subs on YouTube. We're giving away a drift sim. Details are in the description, something real quick. And then, just posting it on social media some, but mainly just YouTube. And then it just goes getting referred like crazy. Like everybody just passing around because I don't know of anyone that's given away a full drift sim. Maybe it's been done. I'm not saying I'm the first, but I've never heard of it, and so I think my viewers hadn't heard of it, and so they were all excited about it, and everybody was kind of sharing it around and saying, like, I don't think I could do this again with this much success, maybe, but it's pretty special, like being the first one.
Yeah.
We'll probably try it again though.
That was one of my next questions. Like, if would you try a contest, a giveaway like that again? That was my next.
Yeah, I want to do another one at 200K. I'd like to give away maybe 2 drift sims. I just don't think it'll be as successful. I don't know. We can see.
You'll have double the seed audience at least. So.
Sure. Yeah. No, it'll be interesting to see. I know like when I did the steering wheel giveaway on Instagram, it went insane. I gained like so many freaking followers on Instagram, and then I saw a bunch of other people try to copy doing it. It did not work even close to the same. Like no one was able to replicate it. And it's in my small little niche, but I'm just saying like, so I could be wrong, but I think being able to do something really unique like that, and it's the first, it's hard to replicate. Now I could do something bigger, right? Give away a car, which I want to do in the future too.
Yeah. Who do you look for like online, like for inspiration for like your ideas, your marketing ideas, your education? Like, are there other people you follow that you're like huge fans of, or like, where do you get your inspiration from?
I've never been asked that question, honestly. I'll be honest, a lot was from my education. Like I got a lot from ASU and especially USC. Like that was a really intensive, the whole program was to have students come in that want to get their master's and launch their own business, or if they already had a pre-existing business, really make it serious. And so I learned so much in that. Now it's just I just pay attention as a customer, but I'm always like looking at it and trying to analyze it from the business's perspective. So just anything, any social media, YouTube videos, like I'm always kind of feel like I'm enjoying taking in content, but I'm also kind of studying it, I think, like subconsciously, but there's no like, I don't have like a guru or like a book or like a guy
Yeah.
I follow or anything like that. Just kind of watch everything. And I guess one of the big things I learned in undergrad was like I can't remember the exact term. Um, Not blue sea, but it's like a business term. But it's essentially like taking something from one industry that works and just putting it in another industry. Like I feel like a lot of people have been in one industry for so long and they only do it the way everyone else is doing it in the
Yep.
industry. And so I always like looking at, like I'm interested in a lot of different stuff. And so I'm like, why wouldn't that thing in fashion work within cars, or that thing in health products work within YouTube, whatever it is. So I feel
Yep.
like for me, that's kind of, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, mixing and matching is huge. Like it's not even just like within the industry, but like, oh, something works really well on like Instagram. Like, has anybody tried it on TikTok in this space yet? And like nobody has, then like it's probably worth trying, because like it's an audience is an audience. Like people
Yeah.
react just because they're on one network versus another doesn't mean they react differently necessarily.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
cool. How many cars do you own? I'm curious.
Think like 8.
Like 8?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite car?
Uh, I don't know. Either the Lambo, that one, or my R34, which is not behind me. But yeah, I got it's a Nissan Skyline R34. It's like, if you watch Fast and Furious, it's like the car Paul Walker drove. Not the orange Supra, but like the
Yeah.
silver car with the blue stripes and like
Okay.
the round tail lights. It's a pretty iconic tuner car, and it's like a dream car of mine.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What advice would you have to anybody else who's got a passion like a store similar to what you've got going on, and they're trying to build their audience? What advice, things we haven't talked about, would you give them? Could be contest related or not contest related, just sort of in general when it comes to growing their audience.
I'm gonna go like kind of basic, but I don't feel like a lot of people learn about this. And we talked about it some, but customer discovery is like the actual term. I think it's gotten a little bit more mainstream, but it was really like a startup term, and like the like Palo Alto and like Los Angeles, like startup scenes and venture capital, like anyone that's in that scene knows the term customer discovery. But it's really about getting out of your own head and not like me, let's say me and you are starting a business and we're like, oh, our customers are going to love this. They're going to love it at this price, this color, and this is for sure our customer. But we haven't gone out and actually talked to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing is, and sometimes it's hard to figure out how to do that, but the biggest thing is paying attention to your customers and going out and talking to them before you just make decisions on your own. And so anything you can do to gather feedback and info is important. Another thing I'd say is make sure you're not baiting them into giving you the answer you want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a big one. So careful how you word your questions and stuff. But like, I honestly think people who can do customer discovery well can go really far, because I think that's one of the biggest things in business personally.
I personally, I just love talking to like I love this business because I love talking to all the different customers, because we have customers in so many different industries, and so for me, it's just like it's entertaining to talk to like folks like you. It's like, oh, I never really thought about that. There's people who are just like their career is like drifting, and they've turned that hobby into a business, and so that's just fun to see all over the different space.
I'll bet that's fun. I'm like, as you said that, I like got chills. I was like, man, you get to talk to like a lot of interesting people and learn about interesting businesses. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, it's one of the it's funny. It's one of the things it's definitely taught me is like there's not necessarily bad business ideas ever, because there's lots of people I talk to. I'm like, I have no idea how you turn that into a business, but kudos to you. It worked, because I never would have thought it would work. But like, there's just like there's bad fit sometimes of like the people who like maybe you're not the right person for that business, and so like it's always the best is when you find that person who's a good fit for the business and they've got a cool business.
That was like, on that note, that was like one of the biggest things in grad school that they kept talking about, because I was like the entrepreneur type, was like, oh, I gotta have this like 1 in a billion idea, and then like it'll take off. And a lot of people, I feel like even successful entrepreneurs, some of them, and business people, like they still think that way. And in school, like we had venture capitalists coming in, and all our professors were successful entrepreneurs themselves, like big. And they were like, the idea doesn't fucking matter. They're like, it's the team. They're like, get over this idea thing. Someone else has thought of it. Like someone would come up with this idea and be like, I was the first person. Like, nope, I've heard of that one before. There's like 3 other people in Palo Alto working on it right now. And they're like, it's the team. And so I was like, that helped me a lot, because I was like, you think about how many people are in the world, like someone else has thought of this idea. So once you can kind of let that go, then it's like, all right, how do we do it the best? How do we have a good team? All that stuff.
Exactly. No, 100%.
That was a big one for me though, because I was always that guy. I was like, I need that. I have like an idea list. There's like hundreds of ideas, and I'm like, this has never been thought of before.
I own a lot of different domains and a lot of different things. So I'm just like, well, this one pays the bills though. It's really fun, and it's still fun to pay the bills. But I'm like, like I've still got like all the domains. I've got domains for tons of different ideas. I'm like, it's a great idea. Let me start by buying the domain and then doing nothing else.
That's so funny. I got a couple of those too. I got a good one. I'm waiting for somebody to come buy it from me. It's howtodrift.com. I bought that one because like the search term is so sick. But I don't know. Yeah. Just funny. I built the website out like just for myself, and I might do something with it eventually, but you got to stay focused. I think that's another big one, is like, and now you got me talking, but like so many people, there's this like, and I feel like it's kind of toxic, but there's this whole thing right now of like having multiple businesses and side hustles and stuff. And I'm like, man, I'm still a big believer in get one, focus on it, get it sustainable, and then do the next one. Like stop trying to do like 6 different things, you know? Yeah. Anyways, you're fun to talk. So.
Yeah. Have a great weekend, man.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for hitting me up. We'll do another one soon. So.
Yep. We'll do. All right.
All right. See ya.